welcome to the panel on social tokens for environmental impact. My name is Andrew. I'm the CEO and co-founder of SocialStack, and I'm very excited to be with you all today. So we'll do a quick intro of the panelists. I'll let you all kick it off, and then we'll get started. Happy to start this off with a joke, if the audience feels like that's appropriate. Knock, knock. Celo. Celo actually didn't pay me enough to write a joke, so. Yeah. That's all I got. So now we'll kick it off. We got Nesma, Camille, and Jake. Do you want to give quick 15, 20-second intros, and then we'll dive into it?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming in. My name is Nesma. I'm the CEO and founder of WeCare Impact. We have some work that is showing right now on the left screen that you can see a video called The Stream of Life, and then the NFC Genesis collection around Amazon and indigenous wisdom preservation. So really quickly, we believe that we need to create new narratives and experiences for people to come together and have a new framework of experience in order to connect and to really scale impact. And so we partner with SocialStack in order to release our token and to accompany our creative productions with an opportunity for the community to get engaged, to join the story, and to take action. So this is just a quick blurb, and I'll pass it along to Camille.
Thank you. It works. Perfect. Hi, my name is Camille Guitteau. I'm the co-founder and director of Europe for Bye Bye Plastic Foundation. I co-founded Bye Bye Plastic together with a DJ called Blondish, and we believe in the utmost power of music to create new social connections and to speed up the tipping point for a more sustainable and plastic-free culture. So what we're working on is to eliminate single-use plastics from the events industry. That's in a nutshell. And yeah, for about a year, we've been more and more involved in the Web3 community in many different instances, and we've got a lot of really exciting collaborations coming up, including very obviously with SocialStack. We're building a bye-bye token that's going to incentivize you, me, everyone in the community to take eco actions and to get rewards, to get rewarded, and to be able to stimulate even more this regenerative system.
Hello, my name's Jake Beaumont-Nesbitt from Project Zero. We're a network, a decentralized network of ocean conservation projects that was set up nearly 10 years ago. And the mission is to solve a number of individual projects by connecting them together with influencers and money to drive cash to them so they don't have to work on raising money for themselves. They can concentrate on their conservation activities. We were set up as a decentralized network to link a bunch of ocean conservation projects together because the biggest weapon that we have in the fight against climate change is the ocean. And it's been really interesting over the last few years watching Web3 emerge, and then our friends at SocialStack came along. And so social tokens are a logical extension for us of working with the network of decentralized projects. How do we work with a large audience and connect them and allow people to participate more? So it's really interesting to hear more today.
Yeah. So at SocialStack, really what we're building is this easy-to-use platform for non-crypto native organizations and creators to issue their own social token and incentivize action from their community. So what we believe is we need new forms of rewards that's going to incentivize grassroots actions at scale that's going to drive forward kind of the flip side of the ReFi conversation, which is the actual actions that we need to take as a human race to actually solve the climate crisis. And so one of the core triggers of human behavior is obviously incentives, but there's more than just financial incentives to be unlocked in Web3. And the core one that we're exploring at SocialStack is really the social capital incentive, being seen within the communities that you care about and being seen by the people that you care about. And so a lot of the nonprofits that are on SocialStack, they have some different levels of a celebrity stakeholder network that they're able to offer all sorts of rewards that include tickets to events, maybe a one-on-one call, and really that trigger of being seen by the people you care about. So I'm gonna kind of pass it off to the panel to really dive into, that mechanism within their communities, how you all leverage that kind of like celebrity and like social capital, lever to really drive the behavior that you want to see within your communities. So anyone?
I don't have to always start.
So going back to the 80s and Live Aid, when Bob Geldof organized a bunch of musicians to focus on famine in Africa, the reach that the Live Aid project got principally came back through radio, that they initially created a record, a single, and it was a bunch of artists from different backgrounds, different audiences coming together to pool their audience. And then it ended up with a live show, ended up with a US version, shows around the world, and it's gone on from there. But it was really a tipping point. There had been concerts before that, such as organized by George Harrison from the Beatles, Concert for Bangladesh, to build and leverage music influencers to reach audiences, to activate them on a multi-territory, on an international basis. And so we come from that background. So our board members, the Rolling Stones, are playing Lyon tonight. We have members of the Stones family. We're very close to the music industry. I work in the music industry. And we're really building from the perspective that the artists have audiences. And the opportunity going forward, because the audiences have started to self-organize for themselves because of Web 2 and increasingly Web 3. So if you take a K-pop artist like BTS, their fans, without any notification, without any impetus from the artist, are organizing as a community. They're principally doing stuff around their fandom for BTS, but they're also involved in social change and issues. So finding the tools to allow a large community to become engaged with artists, where it's not artists preaching, you must give this, you must do that. And we see the same thing happening with brands at the moment. Massive brands like Nike and Starbucks are much more aware of how they need to have a conversation with their consumers. They can't just preach to them. So we're really at that tipping point of going into a world where we're all stakeholders rather than we're looking at the magic person on stage, the superstar. And increasingly for those big artists, they want to be part of a community. They don't want to be isolated.
I mean, ever since Nike and Adidas were the ones that really pioneered that, authentic way to reach fans through someone like a Run DMC, which Adidas pioneered. And what's interesting in this new era of Web3 is how can we use that same social capital mechanism to incentivize behavior that's more impact driven. And we have now that formal incentivization layer to do that. Let's talk about Bye Bye Plastic, because Blondish is has a very interesting niche in the EDM and music world, and it's a very interesting social lever to drive forward. So how have you all used kind of her and her fan base to really activate within the context of a nonprofit?
Yeah, I mean, that's really driven a lot of organic traction in the first place. This is what, what helped us to get the initial organic traction, the fire started. But it's always been about building a network and building a life of our own. And this is also what we did with the Eco Rider, which is the initial movement that we launched at the very beginning of Bye Bye Plastic. Basically, the Eco Rider is it's a tool for artists and DJs. They can add a very simple add-on to the current rider they're using. A rider is a hospitality and technical document that they would give to a festival or a club that books them. And this Eco Rider is asking to kindly not use any single-use plastics in the DJ booth or in the green room. And we basically used our organic reach and network within the industry, because we know we're more or less one phone call away from anyone, and we started engaging and asking who wanted to onboard with us, and that's how we rallied 1,500 artists and DJs. And the goal there was twofold. It was really helping these artist community to understand the power of their own voice and be able to speak at once and to see what it does when they are syncing up together, when they're speaking with this one unified voice. And so all of a sudden it was not one isolated person speaking in each corner of the world. It was, you were speaking as one, as those 1,500 artists, and still are. And so we're constantly onboarding more and more artists. And yeah, this is really what triggered the movement and triggered a lot of awakening in the music industry. That was always conceived as a bridge to reach to event organizers, club owners, promoters, etc. Because so at Buy By Plastic we have two sides to our activities. One is the education, the awareness, building tools, helping people to understand what's the problem at stake with plastics. But also the second side is the solution and the impact, effectively removing plastics and durably removing it from the music industry and from the events sector at large. And we have three sets in our subsets in our ecosystem, basically. First is the artists and DJs, as we mentioned. They have the voice, the power of influence, so they really drive, if we are able to connect and to educate them, they really drive the rest of the dialogue. But yeah, we're then bridging to promoters, event organizers, and music fans as well. And we tackle all those stakeholders. And so with the token, with the Buy By token, we're also going to be wanting to impact and reward each of them in its own singular way. So any artist who onboards and keeps using the Eco Rider, we can reward them with the token. Any music fan that's bringing their own bottles to a festival, we can reward them with Buy By tokens as well. Any festival that actually transitions to more plastic-free events, we can reward them with tokens. And all of this can start really to feed each other as well, start getting use cases within itself, and create this global music and motivated ecosystem.
And I mean, I think the pushback to everything that we're all talking about here is like, why or how do these tokens have any value? And, you know, I mean, working closely with you all and some communities on the platform, this idea, especially in the early days of launching the token, having this friction between wanting to accumulate more and more of the token to unlock membership tiers within a community, while also having really compelling rewards that you want to use the token to redeem for. And having that friction in the early days of the token is like kind of a base layer of value to provide to get the token some initial traction. And there's the interesting additional dynamic that all crypto tokens have of like speculation and liquidity. And I think in the early days, we're in the very early days of social tokens, we're kind of where NFTs were back in like 2018, 2019. And so I think the communities like these that really position themselves to be in the right position when social tokens hit and liquidity comes in. You know, obviously, with how we're building at SocialStack, we believe that's going to happen over the next few years, and we want to kind of set this precedence of an impact-driven culture in this space, and ensure that the culture we're building around the tokens have, yes, community incentives, commerce incentives, but are also using the capital that's being created to incentivize impact action from community members. Nesma, tell us more about what you're working on with WeCare and how you're using that kind of like social capital lens to drive forward action.
Yeah, and I'll connect a little bit with also what you guys spoke about. The whole idea behind WeCare is that like me flipped upside down is we, and that it will really take all of us to care in order to really make a difference and to get to the sustainable reality that we aim for. So what really drives our values, and our behaviors? And I believe a lot of that stems through cultures, through the narratives that we have been fed, whether it is through our environment, through, our parents, through the movies, through the books, and the exposure that we've had. And that creates like a framework of our reality. and what we care about in a really kind of like simple but a profound sense. So I grew up a bit all over, between Algeria, France, Ivory Coast, Senegal, and the US, and all of that before I was 18. My mom worked on development and poverty issues. So I saw firsthand the world in like a very different lens, you know, and the ways to come about it and to relate to it that was quite contrasting. And that's the same way contrasting narratives. So by example, like when I moved to the US, and I would tell my friends and, you know, my peers around me that I was coming from Ivory Coast or Senegal, and that's where I spent my childhood. The narrative and the kind of like the experience that, especially like 15, 20 years ago, that, you know, the response from that was like, oh, you know, almost that was like, I did not have as much as an opportunity, and then moving to the US was like the best thing that could have ever happened, right? Actually, that's not, you know, at all the experience that I have. I have Africa tattooed on my pulse as a reminder that the pulse of Africa runs through me. Some of the most important values and ways of seeing the world that I've had stems from these experiences. And then I was a big book reader, you know, and so I learned a lot, you know, from that as well, from perspectives and understanding about the world. So that created a sense of empathy, which innately motivated me to make a difference, and innately connected me to my other peers and to my other human fellows in a very like profound and organic way. And so that motivation, therefore, was not extrinsic, but it was intrinsic. And that has been a big driver in my life. I could have done a lot of other things that could have been like way easier in many ways and kind of comforting than the path that I've chosen to pioneer. But having that seed in me and wanting to actualize it was very, very strong. So I started, you know, leveraging those angles through the powers of stories and writing and directing, and using fictions and documentaries and kind of understanding how to blur this to entice people into a world where they would be able to travel and have that same emotional journey in a way that I had, allowing me to have different experiences in regards to different dimensions of life, and hopefully get them to care through that. And then in that care, then have them being intrinsically motivated to make a difference. So that was the starting point, and I started with that. And film was a good medium because it brought a lot of the arts that I love, such as like music, writing, photography, into one medium that I thought was more accessible and could reach more masses. And so from then, that kind of just like started to build on, you know. In 2016, I started to think about how do I use immersive technologies as tools for empathy. So empathy is quite at the center of my work from that experience. And the whole idea was to get people engaged, right? To get them to care as much as I did, to flip the me into the we, and to really come together into making that change, you know, because we are a society, and, you know, the stories, I mean, the social and financial institutions, our society is based on a collective of stories that we've all agreed to participate and to use as a reference point. So now we're obviously coming to a term where these stories have worked to a certain point and have shown as well their limitations and also their ignorance in many ways. So we need to kind of come together and rewrite like what makes sense, and together kind of become actors, you know, of that story and be a part of the solution. So the pillars of WeCare is like arts, technology, and community. Arts to like inspire, to educate, you know, to come together. Technology to amplify, you know, to connect and to integrate, and then community, you know, which is kind of holds and it's like glue to it all. So when SocialStack approached us with the idea of partnering with a social token, I thought that was indeed like an organic evolution, you know, of my process and theory, and to kind of have these social token that once we get these communities like involved and care, and they're like, we want to be a part of this, what do we do? To allow them to have a platform where they can join the story and be a part of the solution. And so we've launched our WeCare tokens. You guys, please like scan the QR code for Summer of Action. You'll be able to get to the platform where all of our communities are and kind of like see what we're up to and like how you can make a difference yourself. We've been very lucky to have like SocialStack support, and then Celo as well, backing up our tokens. We have like 5,000 worth of Celo. So really like trying to get this moving, and it will take definitely like all of us. I guess one last thing that I want to add is that eventually what we're building towards too, and kind of the whole idea of WeCare is to come together, right? So to recreate our ecosystem and to move away from the paradigm of competition to a paradigm of collaboration, unification. And in this way, take care of the ecosystem that needs us, but also restore our own social ecosystem, which is that intelligent mycelium that moves through it all. So we're very big on partnerships, you know, because we believe that we all have something to offer and to bring, and that if we can agree towards a unifying story and like move these together, we'll really be able to make a difference. So eventually, what we want to bring in is that also an ecosystem of influencers, you know, that we can partner up with our campaign as well, with certain purpose-driven brands activation that we're doing, in order to kind of switch culture and switch where people are leveraging these things to a more purpose-driven future and reality. So that's kind of like the gist of it, and I'm happy to chat with anyone if they have any question.
Yeah, so I mean, stories and storytelling is probably the most important component of what we're doing at SocialStack. We're B2B and we're B2B2C. B2B is not challenging. Like we like everyone here gets it. We have initial conversation, but the most challenging thing about what we're doing in the broader crypto space is like, how do you storytell to their community participants in a way that meets them where they're at? Because the reality is 99% of the world still is not crypto, like doesn't have a crypto wallet, let alone speaks the vernacular of the space. We've found that social tokens are actually a little bit easier than NFTs to like really, because it's kind of like, you know, reward point on the blockchain is a way to like really easily meet people where they're at. But when we use the term metaverse at SocialStack, what we're really referring to is a storytelling container. And what we believe that we need as a society is really parallel stories and a parallel society for people to opt into, as opposed to trying to fight against what's currently, you know, out there in the world. And we believe that social tokens are kind of one of the primitives to kind of create this new narrative and this new story for people to participate in and opt into through action. So with that being said, maybe, I don't know how much time we have left. 5 minutes, cool.
I think if I can just add, like, well, bridge to what you said, what I think is really amazing about tokens, as you said, it's more approachable, and it's the currency of that new word that we want to be building. And something we revolved around without mentioning is like tokens, currency, right? What does currency revolve on? Any currency, faith, belief. And what we're building with our tokens, all of our tokens, is a currency based on another system of value of beliefs that are, well, for the ones we're building at SocialStack, that are just like higher, more environmentally committed, more socially committed, and it just translates this vision of the world that we want to get towards. And it's just so amazing to think that people will be able to get rewarded for those values and to at the same time stimulate those values even more. It's like, that's the regeneration right here. You know, believing this is what the Web3 community is about, you know, like creating this new system, disrupting, right? We want to disrupt, we want to decentralize. We need new systems of values and of beliefs. And social tokens are exactly the currencies that are going to help us to get around and get a new economy going in this new world. So, yeah.
And I mean, for me, it's like, how do we create this oasis of normalization for the behaviors that we all want to see, so that it actually doesn't take any form of bravery to like, or courage to say what you know is true and to do what you know is true. And so I think this as a primitive is really like step one to really create that culture where people feel like they don't have to again, it's not about fighting against what's out there. It's about creating a parallel community and society to participate in.
Yeah, because oh, sorry.
Go for it.
No, I was going to say, yeah, you wanted, it's about doing it more effortlessly. And one thing that Blondish always says is like, what you want to impact is you impact people's ego and people's wallet. And again, with the Byway token, with all the SocialStack tokens, it's about that. There's the people who are, there's from all of you, there's people who are already resonating with some of those values we mentioned, some of those elements we want to get towards. And there's the people who are going to be more incentivized by the economical part of it, which is just as good because that's what we want, So we're going to be able to bring in more people into the dance and, finally incentivize the regenerative actions that we wanted to get in the first place.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on what both Andrew and Camille said and highlight two things around social token. One is the community building that is, connected through likeness of like values or like interest, right? And so that I think is a strong, strong like launching point. And then the other thing that what got me also interested, as opposed to, let's say, just like a reward system, is the fact that like living on the blockchain, you can get real data, and like use that data to see what works and what doesn't work, and to build also like a proof of model that you can leverage in the future. So I think that's also like a point that is not talked as much, but that in the future can prove to be really valuable.
Awesome. I want to hear one final word from Jake, but before I close, I know this is a small room. My team might get mad at me because we're press embargoed on this till tomorrow. But I'm gonna kind of give some alpha. We're gonna be announcing the SocialStack Summer of Action, which comes along with a $350,000 social token grant fund that we'll be deploying specifically for environmental and social action tokens. We have some really exciting initial grant recipients that we'll be announcing tomorrow. But let's see. Okay, I'll see you after. You're the only one holding a camera. No, I'm just kidding. Jake, do you want to give a final close?
Camille describing Blondish, and you kept using your hands because Blondish, when she's on stage, the audience is connected. It's an ocean, and they're connected not just with her, they're connected with each other. And what's fantastic about SocialStack is providing the tools for us to demystify and shift that community away from the point of capture, where they're all in the same room, to continuing relationships afterwards.
Awesome. Cool. Well, scan the QR code in the back. We have $5,000 in Celo rewards this week, also right here, for you to earn through action. And you can also earn some of the amazing social tokens up here as well. That's all I got. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll pass it off to Adriana. What questions? Are we doing questions?
Any questions?
Okay, we'll do questions.
I understand incentivizing people to take action by sharing their stories or posting something, but who is verifying that the messages that they're spreading is that, or that you mentioned like music festivals, you're working with them to, if they pledge to like not use plastics or something like that, but who's verifying that people are taking those actions?
Yeah, so you'll be able to see this once you use the platform, but we basically built in a moderation feature that lets the individual communities moderate their tasks for quality, as well as we have the ability to basically scale up at larger scale to like festivals, scale up moderation that the SocialStack team handles.
So yeah, there's like different type of tasks, and some things that we're activating this week, for example, is some types of eco actions that you're able to do this week is bring your own bottle, take a selfie, and post it on social. Take a selfie at the Celo Salon. Post it on social with EthCC bye-bye. So with this, we're going to be able to trace the hashtag, trace your profile, and we verify it ourselves. When we get to longer term actions like festivals, this is a very simple one, right? So we can task anyone to do this. When it comes to like festivals, transitions, we are in this position of expertise where we are accompanying them, and so we are going to be the ones who are verifying it as well. And then on the longer term, it might be we might incentivize people to be act as those verifiers as well, and get rewarded as well. That's how you build this kind of verification system that holds strong.
And on a very simple sense, it's just that like when you complete a task on the platform, you have to upload a proof, whether, like Camille said, it's like a picture or like a screenshot of your like Instagram for their action, whether it's something a little bit more complicated. And we, like the communities, look at those proof of completion and then decide, if this is accepted or if not. So right now, this is kind of like the process to verify, the actions that have been taken. And I think that the idea also is to, or at least like one of the things that I'm really thinking about is how can I create like an action list and task that is leveraging the most value, and that is just not just kind of like, like that. So I think that also takes a lot of research and thinking, what as a community can we do in order to like make the most impact. But again, like it will take a community, it will take us, it will take we. So whatever feedback that anybody has and things, this is kind of the value that they bring to our like community as well, and that we can implement and grow together. There's no kind of a, hierarchy system, or at least that's not the idea. It's more the idea of like coming together as one in order to make an impact on our world and ourselves.
And I think, the deeper thing your question is hinting at is like, what are the most effective actions for people to take to actually have an impact? And so we're building like a council of experts that include Charles Eisenstein and some others, like really help us dig deep on like what are the most impactful actions people can take in the different categories. Yeah.
See a time in Web3, maybe a couple months or years now, where we won't be doing that and we'll be doing something on the same platform? So we're not bringing Web2 back into Web3, like copy the link, paste it back.
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, Pfeiffer was like razzing me in the car, like that's not using like yeah. Anyways, the paradox is in order to like actually have impact right now, like at scale, you need to be leveraging reach and resources. And so like, that's why we're bringing in people like Blondish and some of the advisors that we brought in, because we still need that like celebrity reach in
culture.
Order. Yeah, culture.
And we need to switch and do the transition to a culture, which includes this evolved values, systems, and frameworks. But until now, we still need a bridge. Otherwise we'll be serving a really small communities. We need to connect with where most of the people are. But eventually, to the question, yeah, there probably will be a transition. But if we were just doing it on SocialStack or just doing it on another platform, our reach will just be limited to the people that are already resonated and like aligning with that. And that's great. But what we really want is to permeate culture and then like move culture to the other side.
Only 1% of the world has a crypto wallet right now. So like, yeah, we still need a bridge.
Yeah, we need people to hear about those amazing actions.
Any more questions?
And we need to give them a bridge to come through. Like it's great to hear, it's great to know about something, and it's even better if you feel that you can tangibly walk that bridge and like be there. So I think like education, experiences, all of this allow for the people to demystify these things and to be inspired, to come and to be involved.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you.